WATD presents John Paul, the Car Doctor. All things automotive. Have questions? Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's John Paul, the Car Doctor.
And good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. Well, it's going to be an interesting Sunday today, I think, both, with whatever's going on in your life. We have a few things to talk about today. We're going to talk about the car that got me around this week, which is a big Infiniti, which we drove something similar a couple weeks ago. This is a different level, I guess you want to call it, different trim level, and we'll do a little comparison between the two. And we'll talk about, did a little bit of oddball wrenching this week, I guess. We'll talk about that and the tools that I use for that. Right now, the nationwide price of gasoline is $4.09. In Massachusetts, it's $4.02. So gas is expensive, and a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid can save you money on gas because gets better gas mileage, obviously. An electric vehicle, well, you don't need gas at all. You can just charge it up at home. And we might even talk about a home charger in a bit as well. With us on the phone is Tony Markovich. He is the senior editor at U.S. News, and they just came out with the best hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and electric vehicles for 2026. Tony, good morning, and welcome to the Car Doctor program.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. I really appreciate it.
Well, we look at these high gas prices, and it looks like they're going to be around for a while. And we just cleared Earth Day on Wednesday, and people sometimes stop and think, and maybe I should recycle more, maybe I should try to walk more, maybe I should be on my bicycle more, or maybe I should just buy less gas. And hybrids and plug-in hybrids and electric vehicles all sort of fit in that realm. How do you guys, what's the methodology you guys use to pick the vehicles? Is it just range? Is it comfort? What do you do?
Sure. So in general, you can find a lot of lists anywhere that's like the best miles per gallon. So for these awards, we try to do something a little more unique. We do an all-around picture of the vehicle. So we have evaluated the fuel economy, EV range, and charging data from the EPA for all the different vehicles. But we also include data points like safety, reliability, and then we also factor in the consensus opinion from the automotive press. So we want it to be a vehicle that will get good gas mileage and maybe good EV range and charge quickly, but we also want something that you're going to be enjoying and that it will be quality for you for years to come.
Well, I mean, it makes sense that if you're going to go out and spend $35,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 on a car to get that's a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, or electric, it should be comfortable and fun, right?
Absolutely, yes. That's what we think.
And when people look at the window sticker or go to the EPA and they see that miles per gallon number, that could get a little bit confusing to people too, right?
Yes. That's, you're just thinking about the miles per gallon equivalent.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's just a different way for them to show basically when it is using the electric power. It's a little different. So they came up with that evaluation of how to give people an idea of how efficient the vehicle is.
Yeah, and let's go over some of your top picks here. In fact, the best subcompact, a reader just wrote to me this week, and they were looking for a hybrid. They have I think they have a Kia Soul right now. There's no news whether that's going to be a hybrid or not. And my suggestion was the Niro, and you guys picked it as the best subcompact. What is about the Niro other than 50 miles per gallon?
Yeah, the Niro is, I think, in my opinion, it's a really underappreciated, kind of under-the-radar vehicle. They've made the Niro for some years now, and at one point it was available as a gas, a hybrid, or an electric, so you could kind of choose which one you wanted. For this award, it was the Niro hybrid, so that one gets up to 53 miles to a gallon combined. and it's just a great all-around value because it's pretty good price. You get a lot of tech. Kia and Hyundai, they're known as well to have a lot of standard features. And then we've also had people test it and approve the second row for adults. That isn't exactly the most common thing for subcompact. So we also do Best Cars for the Money Awards, and this one won Best Subcompact Hybrid SUV for the Money as well.
Yeah, I think it really shows that, this particular vehicle, the Niro, is a vehicle that can actually fit a lot of people's needs, whether it's a young family or whether it's, an older couple that, is living at home by themselves, but they like to go out on the weekends, they like to travel. I look at it, and maybe it might be somewhat age-related, but I look at it almost as a small station wagon more than a small SUV.
Yeah, it does kind of straddle that line. It almost looks a little wagony, kind of hatchback vibe. So, yeah, it definitely checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah. And your next vehicle, kind of from the same parent group, is the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid, which may be my next new car, actually.
Yes, the Hyundai Tucson is very popular. That one has won other awards from us as well. That starts at around 33,000 and gets up to 33 or 38 miles per gallon combined. And that's also another great all-arounder. It looks really interesting, has really good space for the back seat as well as the cargo hold. Lots of cool tech features on the inside, with all the most up-to-date screens and things like that. But, once again, another all-arounder.
And it doesn't look inexpensive. It looks, when you look inside of it, it doesn't look like there was any skimping on material, fit and finish, that kind of stuff. It looks like a pretty good quality vehicle when you look at it.
Yes, absolutely. Hyundais and Kias in general have really stepped their games up, doing some of the most interesting designs, and like you mentioned, just really good use of materials on the interiors to make them feel more upscale than the price suggests.
Yeah, and it was a time when we looked at Hyundai specifically as, well, it's an okay vehicle because it's cheap. Now they're good vehicles and they're priced a little bit cheaper maybe, but like you pointed out, there's a lot of content, a lot of extra, a lot of tech inside of them, a lot of little features that maybe you'd pay extra for someplace else. And it seems like every time I turn around, the Kia Telluride, whether it's a hybrid or not, seems to win an award. And no different this time with the best midsize SUV, the Telluride Hybrid, right?
Yes, and that one's the 2027. They just recently redesigned that, started a new generation, and the hybrid is one of the new things. That one gets up to 35 miles per gallon combined. The looks of it kind of, once again, matured another step up. It looks a little fancier than you might think, and rides great, adult-friendly third row. So, yeah, you definitely get a lot of content in that one as well. Yeah,
it looks like they stole a little bit from the Santa Fe design, which looks like they stole from the Land Rover Discovery. But yeah, it's got a little bit different shape. And I think what's pretty impressive, it's over 300 horsepower, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So that's an impressive number. And not everybody wants an SUV. There's still, strangely enough, there's still a market for cars out there. And the best hybrid compact is probably one of the best compacts, and that's the Honda Civic, right?
Yes, the Honda Civic. That one, right, once again, it's a good value. It starts at right around $30,000, and it comes in two body styles, so you can get the sedan or the hatchback, and both of those are just under 50 miles per gallon combined. And one thing that if people haven't driven, some of these more modern hybrids, the hybrid powertrains are not just designed for the fuel economy. These days, they also use them to help with things like acceleration, and the Honda Civic is a perfect example of why a hybrid could be a really fun vehicle to drive. Don't have to drive it fast, don't have to have crazy roads specifically to get the most out of it. It's just fun to drive around town.
And the minivan segment, and there's not a lot of minivans left anymore, but the Toyota Sienna has always been a hit for people looking for a minivan. And as a hybrid minivan, decent mileage, up in the mid-30s somewhere. Does a little bit better than the Carnival from Kia, and legendary Toyota quality. Yeah, so.
And it also is available with all-wheel drive, which is something a lot of people are looking for these days.
Yeah. Well, if you don't want to buy gas at all, you can go fully electric. And I remember when the Nissan Leaf was first introduced, and it said, it could go 100 miles on a charge, and it could, it was, you could put 4 people in it. You could, 0 to 60 wasn't bad. But now the Nissan Leaf, first off, it's probably one of the lower, if not lowest price electric vehicles out there. They've done a lot with the style and design of it. Pretty good subcompact electric vehicle, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the most interesting stories, I think, of the recent electric vehicles that have been coming out. LEAF stands for Leading Environmentally Friendly Affordable Family Car. That was the acronym when it first came out. And as some trims have more than 300 miles of range, they kind of switched the look to be more hatchback style to now it's kind of looks like a little SUV basically. And it has a lot of value, good content, and I think that one could be a hit.
Yeah, and at my day job, if you will, where we have, I think, 40 electric trucks and a couple of electric cars. The Hyundai Ioniq 5 is 2 of them that we have. Again, Hyundai's not afraid to go places where nobody's been before, and this Ioniq 5 is quite the little vehicle, isn't it?
Yeah, that one has been very popular for a few years now. It's a multi-award winner for these awards. It starts right around $35,000. You can get more than 300 miles of range with it as well. The look in the pictures are kind of deceiving. When you see it in the picture, it kind of looks like a hatchback, but then when it's in person, it's a little bigger, so it's more of a small SUV. But good efficiency, good versatility as far as the space, and as I mentioned with the Hyundai, it's good technology as well. And
cars that aren't even from car companies, I guess, did pretty well too. The Lucid Gravity, the Lucid Air, and the Rivian trucks all did well in your testing, and some of its range, some of its performance, and some of it I would think, like the Lucid Air, just a fantastic luxury car.
Yes, those are the Rivians and Lucids are 2 of the more upstart, companies that people might not have seen as often. But as you mentioned, the performance and the technology that they're bringing right now is extremely impressive. They're a little more expensive, but the stats that they put out are incredible. The Lucid Air, for example, has some of the trims have more than 500 miles of range. The Gravity has up to 450 miles of range. But the other good thing about those is they've been able to make their electric motors really small, and then they also have really quick charging capabilities. So it's kind of like a total package with these new electric vehicles that they're ironing out all the bumps.
And it was years ago that when you saw a list of top awards, you were always seeing Ford and General Motors and Chrysler, and the traditional big 3 always did pretty good. But you have both a Lincoln and a Cadillac on your list this year, right?
Yes. The 2026 Lincoln Nautilus Hybrid, that won the best luxury hybrid SUV, and that one was competing against some Lexus vehicles, and that one is a little bit notable just because the Lincoln has a little bit lower miles per gallon compared to some of the Lexus vehicles, but we chose the Lincoln because it had a better safety score. It had a really high safety score, and then the feature content and just the actual luxury content in the cabin just made it feel much more luxurious to us. And
And a vehicle I've never driven is the Lyriq. And the Cadillac Lyriq's a pretty interesting electric vehicle.
Yeah, so the electric space has been really interesting for Cadillac. They have a whole range now. The Lyriq was the first, and they also have the Optic below it, and then the Vistic above that. That's the 3-row, and then above the Vistic is the electric Escalade. And the Lyriq is a really good value. You can get more than 300 miles of range on that as well. And to me, it feels like they've really settled into a groove with Cadillac. The electric vehicles are great for luxury, ultra quiet, very serene cabins. And to me, the material choices and how they've been designing their interiors have been fantastic.
And the Lyriq, again, I've never driven one, but I've seen them on the road a bit, and looks like lots of cargo spaces. It's one of those vehicles that I know it doesn't have a front trunk or frunk or whatever the current terminology is, but it looks like you could put 4 people in it and 4 people's worth of stuff in the back of it. Looks like pretty good cargo space too.
Yes, definitely. That's one of the advantages of those Cadillacs as well. Yes, and there's also a performance version too. If people want to get a little spicier, they can also go for the V.
And Cadillac, and I guess GM specifically, a lot of people talk about the Tesla full self-driving mode, but Cadillac seems to do a little bit better job. It works well, but it also keeps an eye on the driver, which is a little bit more important, I think, than that full self-driving mode that Tesla has. So the Super Cruise system works really well, and I assume it works probably even better in an electric car because it can probably modulate the speed a little bit better.
Yes, the Super Cruise is really impressive. I've driven the Super Cruise in a couple of different vehicles, and they work with select roads, so it's not everywhere. But
right.
the experience that I've had with it has been pretty impressive. Yeah, and they kind of monitor you to make sure you're paying attention on your eyes on the road. So
yeah, it really is. If Tony, if people want to find more information, read more of the reviews, usnews.com.
Yes, we have cars.usnews.com. You can find more and full reviews of all these vehicles.
And we can read some of your stuff. We can read some of Alex's. We had Alex on the program a few weeks ago. Always good to hear from the folks at US News talking about cars and the cars they like and the cars they think their readers will like as well. So, Tony, I want to thank you for taking a little time out of your Sunday and joining us on the Car Doctor program.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
You as well. Take care. Why don't we take a break, pay some bills? My name's John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program. If you would like to join us, and I hope you will because my voice is kind of fading today, our phone number is 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. When we come back, we are going to talk about the Infiniti QX80 Autograph Edition and how it stacks up against the other Infiniti QX80 that I drove about a month ago. My name's John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program. You're listening on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join.
This is my time. Hey guys, it's Lexi James.
And we're Crier Creek.
Twilight Showcase Radio, hosted by Sandy Stride and Keith James.
Tune into Twilight Showcase Radio Sundays on 95.9 WATD and 95.9WATD.com.
Search for Twilight Showcase on Facebook.
And visit twilightshowcase.org.
Twilight Showcase, tonight from 8 to 10 on 95.9 WATD. Honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. He's John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program, and thanks to Rob for mentioning my Lifetime Achievement Award with NHTSA. That was 2 years ago, and because they do the award at something called the Lifesavers Conference, and that just got over a week or so ago. This one was in Baltimore, where the one I went to 2 years ago was in Denver. It's always a big learning experience. I think when I was there in Denver, there was a couple thousand people, and these are people that all care about traffic safety and new technology and how it helps with safety. Before we get to Mike, I want to talk about the 2026 Infiniti QX80 Autograph, which is a big, fancy SUV that proves Infiniti can still build something really good. Speaking of big, the 2026 QX80 is a true full-size SUV at about 211 inches long, 93 inches wide, and 78 inches tall. That puts it in the same size class as, say, a Cadillac Escalade or a Lincoln Navigator. And it's a legitimate rival to the Escalade, Navigator, and Lexus LX. But the real question is, do you buy the Sport, which we drove a couple weeks ago, or spend more for the Autograph? After driving both, here's the deal. The Sport is the flashy one. The Autograph is the quiet one. So it's, the Sport model would be the one that you'd drive if you, I don't want to, the Sport one's the one that if you valet park your car, you'd probably see it parked out front. Where the Autograph, really nice car, but you probably wouldn't want it parked out front. You wouldn't want to be showing off. That's kind of the way I look at it. I think one's for that person that has a sportier flair, one's for that quiet, reserved kind of person, and I could be completely wrong on that, but that's kind of how I look at it. Same driveline underneath, twin-turbo, 3.5-liter V6 with 450 horsepower, 516 foot-pounds of torque, 9-speed automatic transmission, standard four-wheel drive on the higher trim levels. The previous models 2 years ago had a V8. The V6 tops the horsepower and torque in big numbers. There's plenty of power for even this big, heavy vehicle. It merges easy. It should tow easily. It rides smooth. And it feels way more modern than the V8 version that I drove a few years ago. To me, both the Autograph and the Sport drive more alike than different. The real separation, I think, is equipment and presentation. The QX Sport is kind of a performance-styled luxury SUV, where the Autograph is true luxury. The Sport gets your attention with the dark chrome trim and the black roof rails and unique wheels, and they both have the 24-speaker Klipsch. Jesse and I went over how to pronounce this before. KLIPSCH stereo, massaging front seats, and in the Autograph, you get quilted leather in all three rows. And I took my neighbor out one night, and she enjoyed the massaging second row seat because her and her husband were shoveling a bunch of gravel around their yard. So she said, "Ooh, heated massaging seats. I like it." Plus, similar to Super Cruise, Infiniti also has hands-free highway driving system that works pretty well. I mean, I've tried it. I'm still not a big fan. Unless I can take a nap inside the car and have the car take me to where I want to go, I still need to pay attention, and self-driving, not there yet. But this one works okay. And this big upscale vehicle, the rear passengers in the Sport are going to be okay. In the Autograph, they're truly pampered. It is real fancy in the back seat. That said, is the Sport a smarter buy? Well, it's cheaper. You get almost all the top-of-the-line flagship, whatever you want to call it, experience. You maybe look a little sharper in it if you're somebody who likes that kind of thing. Same engine, same style, same front massaging seats. Unless you need second row luxury, the Sport's probably a better value. Still, the last Sport that I drove that had everything unimaginable in it was $103,000, and the Autograph will stretch that budget by another $10,000. So the price of a really good used car. So if you don't care about the darker styling and you don't care about rear seat luxury, the Sport makes more sense. Bottom line, the QX80 Autograph is good because it feels like Infiniti finally got serious about competing with luxury SUVs like the Escalade, like the Navigator, like the Range Rover. It's not just refreshed, it's modern tech, flagship SUV, definitely. But here's the deal. If it was my money, and I'm cheap, I don't know if you can be cheap if you spend $100,000 on a vehicle, which I never would. You heard me say that the Tucson might be my next new vehicle. But if you were going to do that, Sport would make more sense. But if I was spending Jesse's money, I would get the Autograph because, the Autograph is, real true luxury, competes with everything, and reliability-wise, Infiniti products have been good. So there you go. Our phone number, 781-837-4900. Let's talk to Mike in Bridgewater, who I've had on hold for too long now. Michael.
Morning, John.
There you are. Okay.
Hi, yes, there I am. John, speaking of the car that you test drove and just talked about, maybe someday I can get your autograph. So.
Yeah. Would you like it on a check for $100,000? That would be good.
Well, that would be a real plus, but just the autograph. I don't know what eBay's going these days, but probably wouldn't hit a.
I don't think my autograph on a check made out for $100,000 would get $100,000 on eBay either. So, So because eBay probably has looked in my checking account and knows that I can't write that check. But yeah,
the bounce effect. Okay. Anyway, the reason I'm calling is I spoke to you last week about refresh your memory. I have 2016 Lexus ES 300H. Okay. A few months ago, I called you saying that the tire pressure monitor system was coming in and out. You'd see the icon.
Yep.
The actual number readouts would go to dash and then come back and go forth. And then I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that the ABS was flashing literally a nanosecond. If you weren't looking at the dash, you'd miss it. So I mentioned I had taken it to Junior's. Yep. They looked around. No codes. All right. And I said I was taking the Lexus. So here's Lexus. So and you had looked up on all data on whether or not there was any sort of outstanding whatever there. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned. So it's the service diagnostic campaign. It's extended till August, which is good. And it's the customer support program 21LE02, the brake booster pump assembly. And that's the thing you talked about at all data. Mm-hmm. And again, no codes were set. They, did their diagnostic. Sometimes they may have a more updated version. So they were unable to find anything. So interesting enough, after it had come back from Junior's, I now have the readouts permanently. They're coming up. And I haven't seen the actual ABS icon. So I said to them, well, where do I go here? Until something gets set, some sort of a code, something that they can read, it's outside of this customer diagnostic campaign, which means basically it has to happen again before they can do anything.
Before August?
Before August, that's right. Yeah. So I did ask the service rep, and I said, well, if I want to do this on my own, what would it cost for the brake booster pump assembly parts, labor, and don't forget tax, Sean. You never forget the tax. So, $4,215. So I can see why they may be a little reluctant.
Yeah.
You had a light for a nanosecond. We'll throw the thing in. So, any suggestions on this? I mean, how concerned? What was happening, John? I'd be slowing down to a stop, almost getting to the stop sign. The ABS would kick in, pump the brakes, and then I'd go forward. Past where I thought I was going to be stopping. It hasn't happened since they did it at Junior's, and he did everything he could, and he came up with the same thing that Lexus did. And luckily, the guy only charged me half of the actual labor rate, which was interesting. So anyway, because it was only there for an hour. So, any suggestions on this, my sir?
Yeah. This is going to be tough because what may happen once they checked it for codes, they may have gone in and just flash cleared everything just to see if something would turn up, which would make sense to do. But sometimes when you do that, it sort of resets glitchy stuff for a while. So I think, other than, I think time is going to be the tool, unfortunately.
Yeah,
sure. Until it starts to show up with, like you said, and like Junior said, and like everybody else said, still it starts to show up with this code. But what I would do, maybe, is call Lexus customer assistance and say, hey, look, this is what's happening. When it acts up, I can't literally stop the car. I'm afraid I'm going to hit somebody in front of me. Your dealership has not seen any of these chassis codes that need to be here to reflect what the bulletin says to do, that replace the brake booster and master cylinder assembly and all of that. So what do I do? And can you authorize the dealer to do this repair based on nothing more than my feeling of what's wrong with the car based on your active bulletin? And I would, give them the bulletin, and also ask them, is there somebody that can also, is there a field service engineer that can take my information and based on what I'm telling them that the ABS kicks in at 4 or 5 miles an hour, and occasionally the ABS light flickers for just a second, tire pressure lights do weird things. Is there somebody who can take this information and diagnose it based on not what is in the computer, but based on what I'm telling them, and whether this bulletin 0049-21, whatever it was, whether this bulletin and the repairs can be applied to my vehicle without seeing those codes, and see what they have to say.
Okay.
I would keep leaning on the idea of it's dangerous, and I would bring that up to the customer service person at Lexus, and also ask whether they can do some a little bit more kind of telephone diagnostics, I guess, is the only way I can, like we're doing right now.
Okay. All right. So
other than that, I it's hard to fix it when it's not broken, and the only way that they're going to be able to, let's back up a little bit. How often does this happen?
Okay. The symptoms started last winter with the tire pressure monitor thing.
Right.
I only noticed the ABS thing, John, about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And it was happening when I was just slow, not coming highway speed brake, but coming close to the stop sign. Yep. And the first time it happened, I said, "Oh, maybe that's hybrid system kicking in with the gas." And maybe I was aware of it. It wasn't. It was you'd have your foot still on the brake. Obviously, ABS does the pumping. It pumped, and it stopped further than typically because it did the pulse.
Yeah.
So
now, how many times has it done this in the last 3 weeks?
Oh, okay. So before juniors, probably 6 times.
Oh, okay.
And then, so it's not every time. That's part of the issue.
Right.
And, so that kind of thing. And may I just ask an aside, typically when you go to put a scanner on and look for codes, do they flash first everything and then see if there's codes come back up, or do they typically code read first and then
you always code read first, because you want to see see whether there are codes that could be related, but you also want to be able to dismiss the ones that don't mean anything. So in other words, we're looking for an ABS problem, and there may be a glitch in the automatic wipers. So let's take that out of the picture. Unless all of a sudden we look at different codes and go, oh wait, they all share a same ground, or they all run off the high-speed CAN network or something where it might be related. So first what you do is you look for what's in their existing codes, and you go, oh, yeah, there's this, and this. And as an example, say there was an ABS code in there, you would then clear it and then go drive again to see if it comes back up. That's just a way to confirm it. But you would definitely put down the code was there, but you just want to you might want to clear it just to repeat it to see if it's repeatable and see if any of the other odd codes come up at the same time. So, but you have to, and hopefully the theory and operation of how the ABS system works. Lexus dealers should know more about this than anybody else does. But this is obviously a kind of an oddball one. And like, the guy, like Junior said, or one of the guys at Junior's, they expected to see a bad tone wheel because that was pretty common on a lot of GM vehicles. The tone wheels would get all rusty and they'd act up and do weird things. But no, not that problem and not that code. So at this point, there are 4, according to the bulletin, which I just pulled up, there are 4 specific diagnostic codes that will be stored in memory to be used as verification. So until one of these 4 show up, the dealer's sort of stuck. They're not going to do it under warranty. Nope. But at this point, I think I'd be on the phone with Lexus customer service and see what they have to say.
Okay, and I don't take up all your time, Gio. No. Other people. Thank you for that. The gentleman, the service rep, said that this would be in the system and that you came in for the problem. I don't know if that means anything, but your idea of talking to the customer system.
Well, the good thing is where it's in the system, if it doesn't fully start to act up till September, at least you can go back and say, hey, look, I brought it in. You guys didn't find anything wrong with it. It was obviously the problem then. And I know the campaign ended in August, but it was a problem back then. And normally what will happen is once it's documented, they will extend it within a reasonable period of time.
Okay, that's fair. I don't want to take more. Can I just ask you mentioned Tucson. Are you talking brand new for you, new to you, or how do you feel about new, brand new versus used, that kind of thing? Do you have any quick thoughts? Because then I'll get off.
I have the car I currently own, the Hyundai Santa Fe Sport. I bought brand new because it was actually a better deal. At the time, there was a Hyundai dealer in Rockland, and I went there and looked at a, former, new to you used car that was supposed to be some sort of, former, but it was supposed to be certified used car. What I found was their idea of a certified used car, and I'm guessing it was dealer certified, not Hyundai certified. And my idea were 2 different things. I saw things like mismatched tires, and also the price. Now, it was a fancier model. It had more stuff in it. The price was close to what I paid for the Santa Fe Sport new. And at the time, I wanted, my criteria was all-wheel drive and cargo space, because I was living in Abington. We had the cottage on the Cape, and I was always bringing something back and forth. I've got to do some work. I got to bring a little table saw. I'll put that in the back. I got to drive 51 miles each way back and forth to work in the winter, and I want all-wheel drive because I did it for a long time in front-wheel drive, and all-wheel drive was better. So I was actually price-wise, and it was kind of a funny story. I went in, I did some online car shopping. I came in with what I thought was a good price. The dealer in Rockland said, we'll match it. And then he said, I can also save you a little bit more money if you finance it with us. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to do that. And it was getting late. They were starting to shut the lights off in the dealership because it was Friday night. And I said, how about this? How about we just make a deal? Give me the better price as if I financed it. And come to find out, when I was sitting with the finance guy, they actually lost about $2,000 on the car. But as they pointed out, they made $10,000 on the one they sold 3 hours before that. So everything's relative at big dealerships. So I got a good deal. It's been a good car. I'm fine with it. The Hyundai I had before, which was also a Santa Fe, that I bought used from a used car lot in Weymouth, where I also bought the PT Cruiser that my wife had. The older Hyundai was a former Hertz rental, and the PT Cruiser was a former Dollar or one of the other ones, and they both had extremely low mileage on them. And they both were good cars. The biggest problem with the previous Hyundai was I kept it a little bit too long and ended up having to put some repairs in it that if I got rid of it a year earlier, I wouldn't have had to spend the money. But I did spend the money, and I actually, this isn't really a mistake, but a mistake. I sold it to somebody I work with, and I also sold her separately 4 brand new Michelin tires that I was going to put on the car. And every once in a while, something would go wrong with the car, and ABS light came on, traction control light came on, and it was actually a wheel speed sensor or a tone ring or something. And she said, this car you sold me, had problems. And then she said, I don't know about those tires you sold me. I went to go get an inspection sticker, and the guy told me they were almost worn out. It passed, but they're almost worn out. I said, well, they were the top-of-the-line Michelin tires. And about 2 weeks later, she sends me a picture of the car totaled. Her daughter was texting and driving and drove into the back of a landscape truck, totaled the car. Fortunately, she was driving that, and she said, I think the car kind of saved her life because it was up higher. If she was driving our Toyota Corolla, it probably would have been way worse. And she sent me the insurance information, and I'm like, no wonder why the tires were worn out. In a year, you put 55,000 miles on the car. She said, well, we got kids in Vermont and school, and we go back and forth. Whenever we go to Home Depot, we take that because it's got more room in it. And I said, 55,000. How did you drive 55,000 miles in a year? And she did. And to make this long story finally come to an end, she actually got paid $1,500 more when the car was totaled, and she paid for it.
Ta-da!
Yeah. So I'm like, so you did get a pretty good deal after all. And she said, I guess I did. So, yeah.
That's the better deal in that you don't have to listen to the stories about the vehicle. Well, John,
I know. Yeah. So there you go. So there's the story.
Okay.
But, back to your car, I'd call the Lexus customer service number and also ask whether, because this is, and keep emphasizing, it's a safety situation, see if maybe the car can go back to the dealer and see if a Lexus field engineer can come out and look at the car at the same time. Maybe they can go a little bit deeper into fault codes, and maybe they can do some active tests where they can test individual wheel sensors or the ABS pump or something to see whether these codes will finally start to appear.
Okay. All right, John. Okay. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Our phone number is 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. Phone lines are open if you want to join us when we take a break, pay some bills. My name's John Paul. His name is Jesse. He'll take your phone calls, and we'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and buying savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join.
Tune in to 95.9 WATD Monday nights at 9 p.m. to hear Massasoit Today. An hour dedicated to introducing you to the students, staff, and faculty of Massasoit Community College. Each show, you'll hear uplifting stories, discover the latest news, and learn more about the community that makes up Massasoit Community College. Monday nights at 9 p.m. on 95.9 WATD.
Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program. If you'd like to join us, 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900 is how you get through and talk to us about your car problems, whatever's on your mind, price of gas if you want to. Again, nationwide average 409, Massachusetts 402. Gas is expensive. Drive nice and easy. Best way to get best gas mileage. Someone wrote to me and said, I drive a 2003 Honda Accord. Sometimes 3 warning lights come on at the same time for a second or two. Sounds a little like the Lexus. These are a battery light, a red brake lamp, and a car door open light. Whew. Well, I would rather look at them separately than together. One of the things, and Hondas are very fussy, I would test the alternator output, because if the alternator is not charging properly, it can cause weird stuff to happen. Red brake warning light could be low brake fluid because it has a brake fluid sensor in it. Could be the emergency brake acting up. Or it could be some imbalance in the brake system. It could be a brake line leak. The car door open light, well, there are switches for that. I would keep that one separate. But I would also, like I said, inspect the parking brake fluid level. When you're checking the alternator output, so I want to see what the battery, I want to see battery voltage. I want to see what that looks like. I would also want to test the alternator output under load. So turn everything on if you can and make sure the voltage isn't dropping down. Where there could be some problems that could affect all of this is the ground cable can be bad and fairly common on Honda vehicles and cause intermittent voltage loss. A lot of times you go to disconnect a negative cable, you'll clean it, you'll say, oh, it looks good, but a lot of times all the corrosion builds up in the cable and where it attaches at its end point. And even though the cable looks good, do voltage drop on the cable, take your voltmeter and look and see that you're not losing voltage, in this case ground, between the battery ground and where it attaches to. So, and really, digital voltmeter, really about the only tool you need. Go on YouTube if you don't know how to do voltage drop, and see plenty of places that'll tell you how to do it. But pretty simple, just a voltmeter, not too complicated. Someone who has a garage that I wish I had. They just moved into a house with a decent-sized garage, and they want to set up a home workshop. What do you think about air tools versus battery tools? You know, I remember years and years ago, I bought a battery ratchet, and it was terrible. It didn't hold a charge well. It wasn't good. I remember my first cordless drill was a Makita, the one with the long black battery. It was okay. I mean, it was okay. Now cordless tools are fantastic. I have a smaller half-inch drive impact gun that is the Works brand, WORX brand. And I have that because I also have, which I bought at rummage sales, a weed whacker and a leaf blower that are Works brand. So I had 2 batteries, so that was good. The Works impact gun, the half-inch one, the smaller one, I disassembled, after Hurricane Ian, I disassembled someone's entire carport with it because they were getting rid of it, and my carport got destroyed, so I actually kind of remanufactured theirs at my house, but it did a good job. didn't have a ton of torque, but it worked good. It would work good for, loosening up bolts that weren't crazy tight. Then I must have been complaining about it wasn't strong enough, and the people at Works must have heard me. And they sent me their heavy-duty one. And it is my neighbor, Bob, who also lives here, near me here, has a Volkswagen where he wanted to replace the rear main seal, and he had trouble getting the big nut off the back of the crankshaft. And he tried breaker bars and locking everything in place, couldn't get it to move, and I'm like, try this. Went over, put a socket on it. It rattled a couple times, popped that right off, no problem. The biggest complaint about that one is it's heavy. It's got to weigh 9 pounds. So it's a little bit of an exercise class at the same time. I also have two very inexpensive cordless tools from Walmart. Hyper Tough, I think, is their brand name. They use the same interchangeable 20-volt battery. I have a corded drill that I came down here with because you can't fly with lithium batteries. So I brought a corded drill down here, but I was up doing something. I think I was on the roof of the house and needed to take some screws off, and I'm like, a cordless would be good. Went to Walmart. I think it was $25. It was so inexpensive. And I literally dropped it off the roof a couple times, and it worked fine. I liked it so much that I bought one for up north. Well, when we moved from Abington to the Cape, I had a different cordless set. I think it's Ryobi. So I left the Ryobi stuff there. I took the extra cordless drill here. So I have 2 cordless drills from Walmart. Oddly, that say they use the same battery, but they don't, which is a little frustrating. And then I bought a little impact driver, quarter-inch impact driver you'd use to take screws out. But I use adapters for quarter-inch sockets and 3/8 sockets, and it works great for little nut and bolt projects that you're doing when I don't want to take out either the mid-size or heavier-duty half-inch one. So it works really good. This week, I've mentioned that I have a little small 15-foot boat. And the canal creek I live 100 yards away from, sometimes putting it on the trailer can be frustrating because the current goes one way, the wind goes the other way. I need somebody from Marshfield to tell me how to do it right, somebody who's more experienced with boating than me. And a lot of people with boat trailers have these kind of goalpost-looking things on the back that you can kind of bang into. It helps you actually see the trailer in the water, but it also keeps the boat centered. Well, a company called C.E. Smith sent me a set of what they call side bunks, so 2-foot-long carpeted 2x4s that mount on brackets to the boat trailer. And I used a cordless 3/8 ratchet to assemble all these, and it's the cordless one. It's not the fanciest one from Harbor Freight. It's the next level down. It uses a pretty robust battery. I think it's like 3 amp hour battery. And I put stuff together and took stuff apart and put stuff together and took stuff. Didn't even use any of the battery. It's a little heavy, but bottom line is air tools today, except for things like air chisels, I don't think you really need it. I think all the battery ones, especially in a home workshop garage, I think all the battery ones would be fine. I think you'd be able to do everything you need to do, unless you're somebody who's using a die grinder or air sander or air buffer. But air chisel, you need a fair amount of air, but you don't use a lot of it. So you're rap with the air chisel, stop, let it build up. So I would look at, a 5 or 6 gallon tank, something that can deliver 3 to 5 cubic feet per minute at 90 pounds of air pressure. I think it's fine. I have a little air compressor here, smallish tank. I like it for, I have a brad nailer and a finish nailer, and it works just fine for that. I was actually assembling something or taking something apart, and I used a finish nailer, plenty of air pressure out of that. One of the things I like about this air compressor that I have, that again came from a rummage sale. So didn't my finish nailer, actually. I have a neighbor who goes to rummage sales, and I'll say, by the way, if you ever see a little air compressor, pick it up, and always seems to get good deals for me. So got me this little air compressor, got me the finish nailer. What I like about the air compressor, this one's really quiet. So if I was setting up a little shop and I knew that I was going to need still a 5 or 6 gallon tank air compressor, I would try to get something that said quiet or ultra quiet. You sacrifice sometimes a little bit in recovery, but having an air compressor running in the background is noisy. Now, if you can stick it outside, that's better. But I bought a little Harbor Freight air compressor when I first came down here. I gave it away. It worked fine. There was nothing wrong with it, but it was so loud. And it was, I try to, if I had to use it in the house, I try to use it, I try to put it outside somewhere. So there's my story. There we go. If you have questions, you can always email me, jpaul@aaanortheast.com. Thank you for our guests for calling in, Tony Markovich for calling in. Always good to talk to Mike in Bridgewater, and always good to have Jesse on the board. Thank you, Jesse. Until next week, make sure you wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car, change the oil once in a while. And if you do see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over. It's not just a law, it saves lives. Talk to y'all next week. Bye-bye.